something rather different, and we're very pleased to have it. It's a musical symposium conducted by Vladimir Horowitz. To introduce the program, our own Evans Mirages.
In October of 1977, pianist Vladimir Horowitz began celebrating his Golden Jubilee year of concertizing before the American public. He chose to open his 50th season with a concert at the University of Michigan. The splendid acoustics of Hill Auditorium and the capacity crowd combined to make the concert an historic event in the best sense of the word. The repertoire was varied, and Mr. Horowitz once again shared with his public a never-ending search for fresh idea in interpreting such classics as the Liszt B minor sonata. The concert over, Mr. Horowitz had a few days of leisure before his next appearance, and he decided to spend them in Ann Arbor. During that time, he held a symposium with students from the University of Michigan School of Music. The meeting took place in the school's recital hall. Mr. Horowitz sat alone on stage. Behind him, of course, a piano. With his wife and many young friends in the audience, Mr. Horowitz answered questions and offered his views on many topics. The atmosphere was relaxed, quite a contrast to the supercharged aura of many Horowitz recitals, and we were able to experience another facet of the pianist's personality, that of a witty and congenial intellectual. Since the audience was quite large, our microphones were unable to catch some of the questions clearly enough for you to hear, so from time to time we'll act as middlemen for the questioners. Here is pianist Vladimir Horowitz.
I have a very, very heavy accent. I hope that you will excuse me because, you know, I hope I can answer all the... Listen, you ask me some not too difficult question, otherwise I will use the Fifth Amendment. So, now, let's go.
The first question directed towards Mr. Horowitz was as to his recitals, and would he play with an orchestra in the near future? Any orchestra?
You know, I didn't play with the orchestra for the last 25 years. And I'm playing in New York the 8th of January with the New York Philharmonic, with Ormandy conducting. And the all proceeds will go to the orchestra, benefits to the orchestra, because this New York Philharmonic was presented me in 1928. Which you will all probably, you have been in the embryonic state on it. And so, they presented me, and so I give them back, like a thanks, you see. So I will play, but it's true that when I came, I played Tchaikovsky concerto, but now I will play the Third Rachmaninoff, because I thought that Tchaikovsky too hackneyed and to play it too much, you know. And the Third Rachmaninoff was my very great friend and very close to me, you know. And I did play 3-4 weeks later Rachmaninoff there with Dammers, so it makes no difference very much. I came in January, I played in New York in 1928, about the 11th or 12th of January. This will be an 8th of January, so 3-4 days, you know. And then 4 weeks later, I play with the Dammers with another hall, which doesn't exist in New York anymore. And so that's why I choose to play the Third Rachmaninoff. So your question is answered, I think.
Horowitz has long been identified with the music of Alexander Scriabin, and one of the students asked if Horowitz actually met Scriabin.
You see, I have a brother of my father was his pupil in Moscow Conservatory. And he finished conservatory with a silver medal. And he was an accomplished pianist and musicologist and lecturer. And he was a friend of Scriabin. And when I was I was about 11, 12 years old. So my uncle asked Scriabin, when you will be in Kiev, that's the town where I have been born and I was staying, you know. When Scriabin came for a recital, my father asked Scriabin to hear me, because I was already showing talent, but I was 11 or 12. So I remember that's the only time I met him. It was in 1914, before the First War. So I met him in 1914. It was before his recital. I remember that he was just playing for the first time his 8th or 9th sonata, you know. It was a few hours before. He was like a crazy man sitting in the chair, very nervous. And he probably hated me. He said, you know, Mama and Papa were coming with the prodigy. And he was thinking, my God, to get rid of him. So that he sat very quietly, not quietly, no, not quietly, but he sat. I play very little things, I think. Some nocturne of Chopin, waltz of Chopin, something, a little one. 10 minutes. I met him. I talked with him. Very little. But then my father asked him about what he thinks about me as a talent and things like that, in the future, what to do, and so on, so on. And he said, your boy will be probably very good in the pianist. I don't know how far he will go, but he has tremendous talent. But look that he got general education, that he is interested in all kinds of music. He has to know all music, that he reads a lot, that he sees paintings, that he knows the classic literature, not only play the scales, and to be artisan, but to be a real cultured person. I was a child, you know. So my father and mother followed, and they gave me a good education, but unfortunately later came a revolution, and that's all, and war, and that's all stopped. And you see, I went away from home. I was already, after I finished the conservatory and gymnasium and college and things, and I went already to Moscow, Leningrad to play a concert. I was only 18, 17, 19, you know. I tried my best, and I did quite well. And just I left. They gave me permission to leave the country to go to study in abroad. I went to Germany. I was there many years, but I didn't study there. I just was listening, all others, living 4 or 5 months. I had a very big success in Leningrad. And this is true. I gave 22 recitals in one season with 11 different programs. And the other was the repeat, without orchestra. Half of the, 3/4 of the thing I don't play now. I don't remember even. But I play things, you know, I play like a recital of old Mettner. You don't know even that this composer exists. But I play all program of old Mettner compositions. For example, I play all program of only Bach Busoni. Things like that. I remember that. But anyhow, I made enough money to put money in my shoes, because it was not allowed to take money with. And with that money, I start my career in Germany. And there I am, sitting near you. That's how I started. So that's how why I'm talking. I started a little bit from Scriabin, because he gave me, and he did even told my father and mother that he recommend some very good teacher. They all came from Leningrad, because you see, the communist revolution started in the north much before the south. The south, it was 3 years later. So the revolution started in 1917, but we had the communist regime from 20. So we have the best forces from the north who came to the south. And so I had my teacher, Felix Blumenfeld, who was the right hand of Anton Rubinstein. You see, and he knew, he played 4 hands with him, they were together, and so I got lots of from him, not to. So that's what it is. I hope I answered even too much, because you asked me only about Scriabin, I went too far. I'm so talkative today.
Taking the cue from Mr. Horowitz's comment about a general education, one of the students asked Horowitz how he exposed himself to music for other instruments and the music of the orchestral repertoire.
I must tell you, I am a very good sight reader. And I read the music very good. And I used to play, you know, when we didn't have, during Revolution, later, when we didn't have any orchestras, we didn't have any records, we didn't have anything, only music, sheets of music. I used to play with my teacher with the 4 hands all the symphonies. We play all the symphonies of Haydn, of Mozart, of Bruckner, of Mahler, everything I knew when I was 18, 19 years old. And I learned lots of compositions that you don't know even the names now, and I don't know if I remember them now, but I don't have any desire to play them now. They're maybe a little old-fashioned, and some of them are, but I knew the music, you see, in general, all music, all kinds of music, and I think it is very important of all of you to know the music, all kinds of music, not to be concentrated only in 2, 3 pieces you play. Because in order to play well intermezzo of Brahms, you have to know his symphony, quartets, and requiems, and God knows what he composed. Then you understand the personality of a composer.
What do you think of competitions, piano competitions?
I'm absolutely against. Absolutely against. Full-hearted. Full-hearted, I will tell you why. First of all, you are like commis voyageurs, you know. You go with the sack and you go where I can tie and things like that. And then, the most important, you choose people not by excellency, but by elimination. And that's not right. You have to choose somebody by excellency, but not by elimination. I remember that in end of 19th century, we had Anton Rubinstein competition in Russia, which was a very serious one. And there were participants like young Busoni, who was 20, and others, and things like that. You know who Busoni was, all of you probably. And Busoni took a 3rd prize. And the 1st prize took Mr. Heinz. Do you know who is Mr. Heinz? I don't know. But I know who is Busoni. So that's what happens sometimes, because it goes by elimination, it's not by excellency, you see. So it depends who is playing there. And then it depends, pardon me, depends on who is judging. The judges, you know, sometimes there are some politics too. Lots of politics. That's my pupil, there's the other people, I don't like this teacher, I like this one, and things, you know, it goes, and it is never clean. So I'm against that. And then what the winner he have some few $1,000 and maybe engagement with the orchestra, and what it brings him, and then he's forgotten. That's all. He doesn't make career from that. The managers like this. They engage a winner always. They give him 1, 2 years, take them on probation, you know. And then, if it doesn't go, then he is the most frustrated person in the world. That's why I'm against that, you know. I think I'm right.
Mrs. Horowitz reminded her husband that he was once a judge of one of those competitions himself.
Yes, I was only once. You see, after Rachmaninoff died, and he was such a good friend of mine, and we were very close. He was much older than me. And so I can call friend because we play 4 hands, we play 2 pianos, we play so much music, tremendous amount. And after he died, so we decided to, on his name, to create something like a competition, Rachmaninoff competition, like what's the name, I don't know, something like that. Memorial, yeah. So I was one of the judges too. And so we have, in Carnegie Hall was a concert, you know, I was the president of the whole thing, and I named the winner after, you know, after preliminaries and programs and things. We all lots of work was done. So there was playing there were 7 or 8 judges. And I was voting for first prize for Gary Grafman, you know, pianist like that, yes. He was a youngster at that time. And there was another one quite talented, but he was more of mechanical, you know, but not very much of individual. That's what counts in music, the personality, individuality. So I was voting for Mr. Gaffman. So I was 9 judges, 4 of us were for Gaffman, 5 was for Mr. Lipkin. So Mr. Lipkin won the prize, and Mr. Gaffman didn't. Where's Mr. Lipkin? Where's Mr. Gaffman? So after I gave up, I said, I will not more anymore, I don't want that. I only tried once. I am now, by the way, in the faculty of Mannes School. Mannes School, you know, school like that. And I am a member of the faculty there. And I accept only 2 or 3 pupils, no more, because I travel and I have no time. And so he's very busy. They screened for me. There is, who is that? Nadia Eisenberg and Claude Frank. They screened for me first. Some people who want to study with me. And if they are all right, they send it to me, and then I have to accept them and agree with them or not. So I took one, and I give only 5, 6 lessons, but I have to stop now because this year I'm very busy. I'm traveling a lot, and I have a lot of concerts. So I left him for 6 months, and he doesn't want to go to anybody. Well, somehow he has to wait 6 months, and that's all. In 6 months I will take him back. Because it happens to be my 50th anniversary season, and I cannot do everything, you know. And travel, and teaching, and playing, and studying, and reading, and listening, and things like that. So, but I'm teaching, I'm not depriving, you know, but I cannot call myself a teacher. I'm not a teacher, no. But I have very good pupils. Well, Gaffman studied with me a very time, and I think Mr. Janis was here. He was one of my pupils. I took him when he was 15 years old. I taught him for 3-4 months. Then I had another one for Canada, Turini, which was very talented young man.
Turning from teaching to an era in which Horowitz made his first great impression, the 20s, a very exciting time for music and other lively arts, did Horowitz have the opportunity to meet the notables of that era?
You know, I must tell you without bragging, I never brag, but I met everybody. I met everybody, all musicians from all walks of life, and I was friendly with all of them, and they were very friendly to me. We just name it. And there may be some 1 or 2 brawl I have with conductors, but that's all. But that's very little, because I'm not very temperamental in general. You know, the person of great individuality, if the pupils are very talented and wants to play something, he sometimes has to tell his teacher, you know, I'm interested with that and that and that. Would you like to hear it? Not to wait what the teacher gives it to you. Because there is nothing, absolutely something that you have to play in order to be a pianist or flutist or cellist or violinist or singer. You can do anything you want. There is nothing obligatory. Obligatory, you have a word like that? Yes, I think so. Because I translate from French, so I speak French. But if you tell me I want to play for you something that I don't know, the name, I take the sheet of music, I will know it in 2 days. It doesn't have to be a standard repertoire always.
Horowitz's concerts are always characterized by a youthful energy, an energy that he has not lost in 50 years of concertizing. One of the students asked him, how does he maintain that quality of youthfulness?
I always challenge something. to myself. I never don't want to get old. I want every year to get younger and younger, so I give myself challenge to work something new, which I love and I like and I find is how you call it, important to bring before the listener to know the music, you know. Some music which is neglected. There are lots of music which are neglected, and not always the good signature means the good music, you know. Because you cannot be genius 24 hours.
Recently, Carnegie Hall celebrated its 100th anniversary, and during that concert, Vladimir Horowitz accompanied Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau and played chamber music. Does he enjoy the very democratic role of chamber music playing?
You see, I play lots of chamber music. And this is a kind of it was not an accompaniment. We had an equal importance. We play Dichter Liebe of Schumann, which is piano part is as important as the singing part, and I love to play with singer. Mostly that's what gives me the greatest pleasure, because I like everything which is singing. For me, that's the most important thing in music. Singing tone and good tone in any instrument, and especially on the piano, which is percussive instrument. It's maybe the only one percussive instrument, because you take an orchestra, they have only alpha percussive, the glocken, you know, but all the rest is not percussive. And so we have to, on the piano, we have to imitate the voice. And the tone is one of the most important things. You see, everybody has to have his own voice, and has to have his individual, you see. So when I play with Dieskau this year, I had a great pleasure because it was interplay. We play together, see, once against another. One phrase is his, one phrase is me, so I try to, certainly I cannot sing like he because he has a voice, you know, a piano doesn't. But I try to do it the best I can, doing it, and to give the romantic atmosphere and the spirit of the music I played. And I was very happy to do it with him because he was a great artist. He is a great artist, not was. Yeah. You know, I must tell you something. In some way, always sitting here, every one of us have some kind of a little frustration. Everyone. Where in one way we are happy, in another way we are unhappy. That the human being is born like that. I have my own. You think I have everything now. Oh, he's the greatest in the world. He's making money. He's traveling. But I wanted to be a composer. And my first thing, when I was 13, 14, 15, I have so much music which I composed myself, you know. And then when I started to because my father and mother, or my parents, it means they lost all their money, and they were my father was a very important engineer in Russia, and he was a wealthy man, very cultured and so on. And he lost everything during the revolution. So I thought myself, they gave it to me, I have to give them back, and I started to concertize, and it goes till today, with 10 years intermission which I had in the 50s. So, I'm frustrated composer, and transcription for me is like nothing, you know. I can do it. Today, by the way, I changed my Carmen already. I put 4 or 5 new bars. This morning, this morning I composed it, you know, because I thought last time that this something a little bit too short. Each time I change. And all others I forgot, half of them, thick water I forgot, I didn't put it down, and I cannot play. For instance, I did the Mussorgsky picture of exhibition, I didn't put it down, I don't know what I'm doing, because by the records you cannot duplicate. Impossible. So It means that's why I'm not published, because I don't want to be only transcriber. Because in my heart I am a composer. Yes.
Are you still playing your Stars and Stripes?
Not now, because we didn't win any war. You see, I played that when we won in 45. See how it came? Because I played that first time in the Central Park in New York with LaGuardia. He gave a big, meeting of millions of people. That was in June, And he asked every artist, it was a patriotic thing, to participate into something. So I said to my wife, the best thing to do, I will compose, and not compose, but put it, not transcribe. That is not a transcription. It is it's just like Liszt did with a symphony of Beethoven. It's just the scoring on the piano, you see, with some few fioritures, because everything you have to be different. So I played, I remember, once in Park, and there was all amplifications and everything. I think 2 million people heard it. And after that, in every concert, they were screaming Stars and Stripes, and I was playing that for 6, 7 years. But then I felt that this is not fair, because you see, you play a Schubert sonata or Beethoven sonata, something like that, and you play in the end this piece, and everybody forget the whole concert. They talk only about Stars and Stripes, So that's not fair to the music, and I'm supposed to be a serious musician. So I cannot do that. But I love this march, by the way. I think it's a very beautiful march. It's not far, but not very far from Schubert march, It's the same theme in the middle. The Schubert march, tira-pa-pa-ra-pa-pa, tira-ta-ta-ram-tam-tam, is just the same. Very close. He was a very talented man, Susan, His marches are very beautiful. They are played horribly by the orchestras, You cannot. You're supposed to walk with that. You cannot walk like that.
Since his return to the concert stage 10 years ago, after a 10-year hiatus, Horowitz has always insisted on playing his concerts in the afternoon. One of the students wanted to know why.
I play only every Sunday. I play only afternoons. I don't play in the evenings. I didn't once play in the evening. That's very funny. In the last 15 years, I play only afternoons, Sunday afternoon, once a week. And I don't play in the evening for some reason, and public and the performer. Because in the big cities, the public is very tired in the evening. And the businessmen the people are tense. They are working till 6:30, 7 o'clock with the traffic in cities like Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago, and so on, They came in at 6 hours, and the wife said, go, it's already 6 o'clock, you have to go. So they go then they sleep, in the concert. It's a tension. And then they are afraid to go home because they can get on the gate too. Now it's not everywhere so safe. So, from point of view of artists, you see the nerves are wind up. You finish the concert at 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you go home. You're all excited, I don't sleep till 3 o'clock in the morning. So the next day is completely lost, you see. If I play afternoon, I go home, I sleep 1 hour, I dine, and I forgot that I play already. Everything is fine, from my point of view. And I think the people at 5 o'clock, we are in our best. In the evening, we are not in our best. Because the day is long,
Turning from Horowitz concerts to Horowitz the concert-goer, one student asked if Mr. Horowitz attended many concerts.
But this is a difficult question. Finally, I have a difficult question. I would love to go, but I have a very strange trait of my character. I talk with you with great pleasure now, but when I'm sitting there in public, I don't want to be recognized. I don't like when the public annoys me. And when they come give me the autograph or they look my face, how I react, how they play, they annoy me terrible. And I just go frustrated and I decide to stay home. I don't go to concerts because everybody look at me. I don't like to be looked at. I don't like to be looked at on the streets and the things, you know. It's just to be is one of the members of the whole family of mankind. In Carnegie Hall, sometime I go in the box because they have leftovers. Sometime I go to opera. Opera, they don't see me. But in general, I go very little in the concert. Very little. But I must tell you something. The artist comes to me, they play for me. I'm very, very much spoiled in that thing. All the artists you will hear, I heard them in my own room. Go ahead. Who? The three.
Do you have any outside interests or hobbies that are not related to music?
Oh, tremendous amount. Tremendous amount. Sports, I'm interested. I know sports very well. I was with baseball when it was the Mets against St. Louis. In '68, I had photography with all the baseball. They gave me all the balls, all the signature, everything. Yeah, absolutely. And I follow all the time, but I look on television sometimes rather than go. You know, to go that's far away. There's many people. But I'm interested in things, in baseball, now the soccer. I don't know, but basketball a little bit less now. Everybody's interested a little bit less in basketball. It goes down. But I'm interested in sports. I'm interested, for instance, I can go to a discotheque. Yes. Because you see, I like to be sometimes, I have a tremendous concentration during the day. I concentrate, I think a lot, I read a lot, I do, and I want to be for 2-3 hours childish. Just completely childish. Just to go and see how young people, how they dance. Sometimes, if I don't drink in general, but if they give me something just accidentally, then I can dance too.
The conversation switched to Mr. Horowitz's upcoming recording plans, and after talking briefly about his latest releases, Mr. Horowitz turned to recording in general.
I don't like recording, you know. Somebody asked me why? You know, when you go somewhere and you see a beautiful landscape, if you buy a postcard and you bring it home for souvenirs that you saw something very beautiful, beautiful sunset, beautiful panorama, or something beautiful, but that's only a reminiscence of something you saw. So recording is like a postcard of the thing, of the truth, which is changeable. And I never, and you believe me, I always tell the truth, I never listen to my own records. If they're playing through the radio, I close the radio. And if tomorrow I have to play something which I recorded 10 years ago, I would never listen to that, because I play every time differently. And I think it's very important to know it. Chopin was a very good teacher, and he has lots of music students. And when he writes in his letter, if somebody brings me and wants to imitate my own playing in my own pieces, I send him home, because I want that he brings something of his own.
From the individuality of a performance to criticism is a fairly easy transition, and Mr. Horowitz was asked if he had a good word to say about written criticism.
Not one. Not one. And I will tell you why. Because the sound came before the word, and you cannot describe the sound with the words in general. So it cannot be important. Sound is before the word. Painting. And sound, you cannot describe with words. Very difficult. Because everybody sees in painting, you go to the museum, you see a painting, you see one thing, then somebody sees another thing. Then you need to read a book, somebody tells you, but that, oh yes, that is true, but I see something different. In music it's the same thing. It becomes, it goes with your own emotion too. You see, when Liszt played the last sonata of Beethoven to Wagner, was quite a good musician too. And I know that from the daughter of von Bülow, which was, Liszt was his grandfather. And she told me that Wagner, who played piano very badly, and he asked Liszt to play him the last sonatas of Beethoven because he didn't know them, 2 or 3 of them. And so he played it for him. And Wagner was listening, and he said that certainly this is the greatest genius ever who lived in music. But this is the music, it is a personal confession. And the confession should not be read to the public. It should be kept at home. This is the truth. He didn't think that this is for performing. It's just to read something terrifically, a very, very great thing. Now we perform that everywhere, and everybody can sit and listening, even 2 hours, a piece of Mahler or Bruckner or things, like that. But if they are happy, I don't know. So music cannot be criticized. They don't know. They don't know how Bach played. The prelude and fugue of Bach, the Walton prelude, Scriabin, you know what it is, the prelude and fugue of Bach, was played by Beethoven daily, was played by Chopin daily. Can you imagine more opposite personalities, but both probably played beautifully, but completely different. So some critic will criticize Beethoven, some critic will criticize Chopin. But who's right, who's wrong, nobody knows, because both are great artists and great geniuses.
All during the symposium, students had been trying to coax Mr. Horowitz to the keyboard. In the end, he obliged, and the students were rewarded with 2 selections by Rachmaninoff, a fitting close to a session with a romantic virtuoso like Vladimir Horowitz.
You know this one?
Our thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Vladimir Horowitz for allowing us to share with you a memorable afternoon in Ann Arbor, and our thanks to the University of Michigan School of Music and their Electronics and Recording Service for technical assistance. This is